Hello, folks. It's Kevin. Welcome to Doc's Comics and happy Friday. I wanted to do something a little bit different today and talk about one of my collecting quests with the onset of COVID. A lot of us were looking for things to do, myself included, and I decided to take my comic book collection to the next level and do a set of weird collecting goals. And one of the first things I decided to do was collect all of the Marvel comics between October and November 1971 that had their prices increased from 15 cents to 25 cents. There's an interesting story behind the price decrease and then going back to 20 cents shortly thereafter. And we can talk a little bit about that for fun, but nobody really knows the truth. But after that, I want to show you all the books that I have, and I think I have all of them of that October, November 1971 series of Marvel. There's about 20 or 25 titles altogether. Some are reasonably easy to get, some are harder to get, but they are a lot of fun. So let's get right into this. So as I said, the price of both Marvel Comics and DC Comics increased from 15 cents to 25 cents right at the tail end of 1971. And there's a lot of interesting stories and, in fact, conspiracy theories about what was going on at the time. I don't know the answer. I'm not going to give you a deep dive into this. I just kind of throw some of the stuff out there. Well, one of the ideas is that Marvel and DC had a secret meeting with one another and mutually decided to raise the prices of their comics from 15 cents to 25 cents. Um, Another possibility is that it was the news distributor, i.e., the company that distributed comics to the newsstands, that worked together with the companies individually in an attempt to increase prices so they could make more money off of their books at the newsstand. Um, Maybe it was simply a matter of Marvel and DC seeing if they could increase their prices and still manage to keep their sales points and therefore increasing their profit as well. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's 50 years ago, in fact, but it's still fun to think about. And it does produce for us a couple of months worth of really interesting comics. As I told you, I'm going to stick with the Marvel stuff here. DC is a lot larger. Whereas Marvel only did this for a couple of months, DC did it for almost a year. And in fact, DC was the company that increased their prices to 25 cents first. They did it in their books marked August of 1971, and Marvel didn't start theirs until the books that are dated October 1971. But needless to say, Marvel switched back 2 months later, going to 20-cent covers, and DC stuck with their 25-cent format for several months thereafter before finally going back to 25 cents, 20 cents as well. Nevertheless, it's an interesting story. You can do research online. There's a lot of people who cover this kind of thing way better than I can. I'm here to show you the books, so let's get into showing you the books. Full disclosure, Marvel was experimenting with 25-cent cover prices prior to October 1971. To give you a couple of examples, there were 3 issues of Kid Colt Outlaw, issues 130 to 132, that did have a 25-cent cover price. Had a lot of reprints in the back to make it larger. And then books like Fear, also a reprint issue. I think the first 6 issues of Fear were 25 cents. And this was prior to that October of 1971. We are also going to exclude a couple of things from this list. We're going to exclude annuals because annuals were already double-sized 25-cent covers, and so we don't really count them towards that. And then books, as I mentioned already, that were already running at 25 cent, like Fear, like Western Gunfighters, Mighty Marvel Western, and X-Men as well. The reprint X-Men books at that time were running at 25 cents for a few months. So we're getting rid of all of those, and we're just interested in the comics that went from 15 cents to 25 cents for a couple of months, and then down to 20 cents from that point forward. So let's get right into the list. There were 8 titles that came out in October of 1971, and let's start on these in alphabetical order. First one is Astonishing Tales number 8, featuring Kazar and Doctor Doom. This is the first appearance of Cynthia Von Doom. So it has one Kazar story and one full-size Doctor Doom story as well. Up next, Conan the Barbarian number 10. Barry Windsor Smith did the art on this. It has a new Conan story at the beginning. Sandwiched in the middle is a reprint of an old Atlas Age Black Knight story, and then it has a new Kull the Conqueror story at the end of it. Third on the list, Monsters on the Prowl number 13. Sorry, this is number 13. Uh, reprint stories by Kirby, Ditko, and a few others. It reprints a lot of stuff. And one interesting thing about this one compared to the other ones is that it is not a square bound book. It's actually just a standard saddle stitched comic. Just happens to be a few pages bigger. Fourth on the list, another one that's relatively tough to get comparatively is Millie the Model, number 192. It's hard to find. It does have new stories in it. Millie the Model 192. Speaking of harder to find, this one is one of the tougher ones to get if you're trying to get all of it. This is Our Love number 13 with a John Buscema cover. He also does the lead story in this one, and then it has a few backup reprint stories to make up the entire 52 pages. Outlaw Kid number 8. Excuse me, this is an all reprint issue from the Atlas title from the Atlas series of the same title, Outlaw Kid number 8. Rawhide Kid 92. It has a Larry Lieber new lead story, and then it has a couple of backup stories featuring an earlier issue of Rawhide Kid. I think it's like number 31 off the top of my head by Jack Kirby. And then the last October 71 25 center is Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 92. This is Dick Ayers did the art on a lot of this stuff, and these are all new stories as well. So 8 books total in October. Let's move on to November. Moving on to the November 1971 issues, there are 15 titles this time. And one of the things that I like about the November issues as compared to the October ones, well, there's two things really. One is that a majority of these are new stories. They're full, like 30-page stories in continuity with the existing issues. Yeah, there are some that have reprints in them, some that have reprint backups, but a majority, unlike a lot of the ones from the previous month, they are all new material. The second thing I like about them is that they mark the beginning of the picture frame era, which lasted for about a year in 1972, where, just to show you the first one here, all of the books are kind of all the art on the cover is in sort of a picture frame. And it's nostalgic for a lot of people my age, and there's a lot of folks who collect this picture frame era of books. But keeping this one up here, let's hit the list first. The first on our list alphabetically for November is Amazing Spider-Man number 102. This is the second appearance of Morbius, and it is a full story, full length. Second up is one that maybe folks are the most familiar with. This is Avengers number 93, done by Neal Adams art, and this is right smack dab in the middle of the Kree-Skrull War. Full story on this one as well. Third on the list, Captain America number 143, also a full story with art by John Romita Sr. Next up is Conan number 11, and this is one of only 2 titles that have issues both in October and November. The other one is coming here in a little while, but similar to Conan number 10, this is done by Barry Windsor Smith. Different from number 10 is this is a full story. So again, a full 32-ish page story by Barry Windsor Smith. Daredevil number 81 is next on the list. Cool Gene Colan cover and Gene Colan interiors as well. This one is significant because this is the first issue where Black Widow is a co-star in Daredevil, although she doesn't get part of the title for a few issues more. But Daredevil number 81 with the Black Widow. Fantastic Four number 116, not a key or anything, but it is a full-length story with art by John Buscema and a Doctor Doom cover. Incredible Hulk 145, tricky black cover, art by Herb Trimpe. This is a story that retells the origin of the Hulk, and it is in fact a full-length story just like a majority of the other ones. One that is not a full story is Iron Man number 43. The main story is art by George Tuska, but it has a backup story, which is an Avengers story that talks about the history and the origin of the Black Knight. One of a couple that are all reprints, and Kid Cold Outlaw was all reprint by this point in its tenure. This is Kid Cold 156, falling into the November 71 category. One of the trickier ones to get. These romance ones are always hard, and these square bounds are even tougher. This is My Love number 14 with a groovy Woodstock cover. It does have a lead new story by Gray Morrow and Gary Friedrich, and does have a few reprint backup stories in it as well. Rawhide Kid number 93. Rawhide Kid is the other, besides Conan, that actually has 2 issues that fall in this 2 month window. Uh, one new story at the beginning, and then a backup as well. I think the backup story is new also, if I remember correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sue me, it's okay. But two separate stories in Rawhide Kid. The first one of which is new for sure. A few more to go here. This is Ringo Kid number 12, a little more scarce Western title. This is an all reprint issue, and just like Outlaw Kid and just like Kid Colt, they were predominantly reprinted this time, and even though this one's double size, it still is all reprints. 3 more to go. Submariner number 43. Submariner started the same month as Iron Man did, and this is the same issue as Iron Man from the exact same month. Art by Gene Colan, and this is a full Submariner story. Brand new also. Penultimate on the list, Thor number 193, book that a lot of us in the biz call the poor man's Silver Surfer number 4, where Thor meets off with the Silver Surfer. This has art by the Buscema brothers, both John and Sal, and this is a full-length story, just like a majority of the other mainstream books. And then last on the list, we have Where Monsters Dwell, number 12, which is an all reprint issue that reprints stories from pre hero Atlas titles like Journey into Mystery, Strange Tales, Tales to Astonish, you name it. So altogether, we have 23 books running from October 71 to November 1971 that are 25-cent issues, and all of these books go to 20 cents in the following issue, whether that's the next month or if it was a bi-monthly title the month after that. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this show. This one's a little different from some of the other stuff that I do. Hope everyone has a nice weekend. I'll be posting shorts on Saturday and Sunday, and then join me on Monday for hopefully my this week's pickup videos. Until then, y'all take care.